Hello, and welcome to another episode of Moving into the Future. Today I am joined by Kevin Gray from First Class Moving and Storage out of Florida. Kevin and First Class are partners with the Advanced Group in our different markets. So today, Kevin and I are going to discuss the dynamics of the Florida market directly from a small business perspective and how we work together to service our various clients throughout the country. Kevin, thanks for joining us today, man. I'm excited to have a conversation.
It's a pleasure to be here on the Jack Mac experience.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man, this is cool. We've really gotten to know each other well over the last year or so. And, you guys, especially at First Class, do a great job down there. We're a proud partner in OMA. And like me, you've spent your career in the moving and furniture world. You know it well. And you've mostly been in the Southeast U.S. market, previously in Atlanta, and then to Florida. And you've been in Florida for about a year now, so, you've really seen a lot of the action down there. What was it about the South Florida market that made you want to, go there about a year ago?
Sure, man. So yeah, Atlanta was a fantastic market, great city, great place to live. Just had the opportunity to change things. I grew up in the Jacksonville area, North Florida, so wanted to change things up. And South Florida market, as we're going to discuss later, it's always been a great market for our industry. And then considering the existing climate that we live in, with COVID and things of that nature, I think it became an even better market. And then not to mention the great relationship I have with First Class Management, Will Fallon, Chris Hunt, and Bill Benner. Those guys played a huge role in supporting me and taking a chance on me to bring me down here. So I really very grateful for that, towards them for that.
Yeah. Chris, Will, and Bill, they're all really great guys, and I've been impressed with what I've seen from them. The Florida market is really unique because, unlike New York, New York is the five boroughs, and it's focused and very specific to New York City. But whereas in Florida, you have five or six markets down there between Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, even West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, are all these different business centers down there. So, and First Class has done a really good job of being present in all of those markets. Specifically in your market, though, in South Florida, how have you seen it really developed in the last year, since you've been down there? Miami is obviously known as this really party destination and fun and, beaches and clubs and that sort of thing. But, now we're seeing a real business shift down there. How has it been for you? What type of companies are you seeing down there? And how has it really changed and increased since you've been down there?
Sure. Yeah. As far as what kind of companies are moving down here, it's a mixed bag of everything. But like you and I spoke about before, a lot of financial firms, a lot of tech and startup companies, but existing companies. The industrial game down here is crazy. I know same in New York, but nobody can find warehouse space. But companies are just expanding warehouses as well. Miami's just kind of that melting pot for everything. So since I've been here, just the demand that I've seen, for not only individuals moving here, but companies looking to move here, it's been out of this world. But obviously from a mover's perspective, on the commercial side, it's what we dream about. It's everything that we could hope for in regards to the demand for our services and the chance to help these clients out. So just being a part of that, kind of that high traffic volume of people moving here and companies moving here and companies that were already here and are moving around and expanding and growing their operations. It's been a great experience to be a part of that.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, I started at the Advanced Group in April 2020, really right when this whole pandemic started to go down. So my whole experience in the business since I got back on the vendor side has really been, very specific to decommissioning offices, specifically in New York. As we do work in other markets, but specifically to New York, it's been a lot of decommissions and people subleasing their space out, so they need to either get their furniture into storage or liquidate it entirely. And that's really been the focus for jobs in New York the last really 2 years now. But in Miami, it's completely different. You're seeing massive expansion and growth and movement into bigger office and stuff like that. How's that been? Just seeing so much dynamic and seeing so much growth. It must be very rewarding from your end just to see that type of market activity and continued growth down there.
Yeah, every day is different. And that's kind of what I like about our industry and our job in the first place is, one day you might be decommissioning an office and a client's like, hey, we need to be out of here by tomorrow or else, our landlord's going to nail us with these penalties. So just kind of fighting the clock on those kind of projects is fun when we can come through for the client and kind of really help them out in those situations. But also, if we got a big storage project for clients or furniture installation or a long haul, just the diversity and the versatility that we have as a team to help in all these different areas of the commercial real estate world and these commercial businesses. It's been, like I said, every day is a new challenge, and every day there's a new project um, or a new time window that you got to beat or something like that. And we're just happy to be able to accommodate those clients and be flexible to their needs.
Yeah, and that's so key. And again, one of the good things about First Class that I've really understood and realized is how dynamic you guys are, and how many services you guys can help commercial clients with, but also being in so many different markets. Like I said before, being boots on the ground in like Tampa and Orlando, in South Florida where you are. It's interesting because similar to New York, where, like downtown Manhattan is known as a financial district, and that's where, Wall Street is and a lot of the financial firms are. And then, as you get closer to Midtown, you may see more startups, on the west side of Midtown where Google is and Facebook is and those companies. How does that translate in Florida? Like, is there a specific area where there are a lot of financial firms? Like you see Kathy Wood's company, I believe, is in St. Petersburg down there. Have you seen certain types of companies or industries gravitating towards certain neighborhoods and stuff like that?
Yeah. So initially, like when you think of the fintech district in Miami, it's heavily Brickell, the Brickell area. And a lot of startups and kind of the art scene has focused towards Wynwood. So Spotify, Live Nation, companies like that, big names for tech. They have big presences in Wynwood. Brickell, any law firm and finance firm is typically there. However, a lot of the companies, a lot of financial companies that are moving from New York in the Northeast are settling a little further north in the Palm Beach area. So West Palm, Delray. So there's a lot of, like I said, and like we'll talk about later, this market is just so big as a whole that it's very well spread out, and it's cool to see all these companies coming here from out of state as well.
Yeah, and I think too, like, we had seen reports, the economic growth in Florida, like during the pandemic, was significantly more than anywhere else in the country. So, it's really nice to be in that hotbed. And, for our listeners too, as far as how Kevin and I work together and why, relationships like this are advantageous to our clients. If I have a client or Kevin has a client in Florida, or my client in New York, and they're planning, to either move their office completely from New York to Florida or open up another branch there, it's something we can execute seamlessly. Kevin mentioned it before as far as, different challenges and timelines that clients, provide to them. And the same thing happens up here. It's the nature of our business, and it is part of what makes it fun. But having partners like First Class and Kevin, where things can happen seamlessly in those tight timelines, and the service is going to be parallel to what you're receiving in New York, makes the entire, wheel of a company spin much more efficiently because of that. And like, good examples are when we're doing a project, whether it's an office move or let's say it's, like a packing project, and we have certain standards or processes that we're following in New York. I send those same processes to Kevin in Florida, and the move happens just like that there. And for a client, especially too, who usually isn't in Florida, they might be stationed in New York but need it done down there. The communication tools, the project management tools, all in place to help make that move seamless with nobody on site, from facilities or real estate or office management. Really helps everything move a lot better. But circling back to Wynwood specifically, I remember we opened up an office when I was at WeWork down there, and it was like a big deal. And then you see like Spotify and Live Nation's offices, and they're gonna have like basically like I think there's like bars or clubs or like live event spaces. Like that's so cool to see an area like that. Have you been surprised at any other cities in Florida that have really expanded during the pandemic, or grew a little more than you probably thought they might have?
Yeah, man. So I actually live in Fort Lauderdale specifically, and when you think of South Florida, you think of Miami, and you'd be surprised by Fort Lauderdale and just the growth that it's seen, because it's a beautiful downtown area. When you see the Fort Lauderdale skyline, you're like, wow, I never even knew that existed. So it's been really neat to see how that's growing and to be a local there. But companies like Fort Lauderdale, I think, because you get the South Florida vibe and you get that feel. It's also just a beautiful area. You get the beach right there as well, and you got a great nightlife, great restaurants, just a great scene down there. The real estate, it's increasing in South Florida regardless, but Fort Lauderdale is not Miami. So I think companies can find some more financial flexibility by settling in Fort Lauderdale. Again, I'm not saying it's cheap by any means, but it's it's a little less of a financial burden, I believe. So it's been cool to see Fort Lauderdale blow up as it is, and yeah, it's a great place to live and work.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love Fort Lauderdale. But see, I only know Fort Lauderdale from like spring break 2009, like I don't know it from a business perspective, but it is a really nice city. And I remember going there, and it's when you live in New York, you can't compare other cities to New York because New York is like its own separate beast. But like when you do go to like, the Fort Lauderdales or like the Tampas, and you see how those cities have really just grown and become like very prominent centers. It's cool to see. And just for some background now, so First Class started in Tampa, right?
Correct.
And then you guys have basically expanded out from there. When you were going through that process, see, because again, we're both young guys in the industry, and it's an industry that is few and far between with people in our position who have done it their whole careers, are young, want to stay in it, want to do well. You could have your pick of your litter where you want to go, and when you were searching for a new job, you really could have gone anywhere. What was it specific about First Class that made you want to go there?
Yeah, man. First Class has been our current VP, Bill Benner, and I worked together in our previous life at a company I was with prior to this. So he and I were close from that. And he joined First Class before I did. And I noticed they had a South Florida market. I grew up in Florida and North Florida, which is a little bit of a different world, but I've always liked being somewhat close to my family, and they're still up there. So it's a pretty easy drive for me. But I just, I had that relationship with Bill, and he introduced me to Chris and Will, our two co-owners. And just seeing not only the kind of guys they were and just how well we clicked and got along, but just the aggressiveness they had towards expanding in this market. And they've been in Tampa for, I believe, 20 years. We just had our 20th anniversary last year. And I want to say South Florida has been going on 10 years, somewhere around there. Um, so just to see, but there's still so much growth opportunity down here, and just to see their attitude and their desire to really not just keep growing in Florida and elsewhere, but in this specific market where they wanted me, it was exciting to be a part of that, and it's been exciting to see it grow, and to just see kind of like where I even started a year ago, and just the amazing contacts and relationships I've built over this past year. And again, Chris, Bill, and Will and all the rest of my team here, they've been like an incredible support in helping me grow that. And just an awesome team here, man. So it's been a great ride. It's been hands down the busiest year I've seen since I've been in the industry. Um, but we're just getting started.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting, especially, and the same for me too, for that matter. Last year was my first full year in the industry, and you know, I'm again, we're probably very similar in this regard. I hold myself to a very high standard in terms of like, the business I pull in and the revenue that I generate. It was a good year, as we reflected last month at the end of 2021. We've got a good thing going, and part of the reason why it's a good thing is because we're a part of OMA, and this organization that turns us from these quote unquote small businesses in local markets to this nationwide juggernaut, really with the capabilities to service, Fortune 100 companies, all the way to the top with their various, uh, furniture needs. And see, again, you're unique because you come from the world. That was your first job, or at least one of the first jobs you had, working for a large nationwide moving company, commercial moving company, services company. Uh, what do you think it is, about being in OMA that's been so impressive to you? And what do you like the most and see the most potential in the group as a whole?
Yeah. I just think the trust, man. I feel like in our internal meetings with OMA, we use that word a lot, but it carries so much weight because I think prior to OMA, for anybody who, has experienced life outside of it, um, it's hard to have a third city project and have to research who you're going to use for help out there. And and if you're lucky, if you've been in the industry long enough, you already know somebody in that city that you can trust and things like that. But as a I've been in the industry 7 years, but that's still very fresh for our industry standards, because like you said, the guys we work with have been doing this 20, 30, some 40 years. So the trust that OMA allows us to have in being able to contact our partners, in New York, in California, in Oklahoma, Texas, wherever it might be that I am not physically located nor first class, and being able to trust that partner and know, okay, this isn't just some, Joe Schmo moving company, but they're going to take good care of me. They practice the same quality of work that we provide ourselves. So I know my client's going to be in good hands with them. So that's huge. And you can't put a price tag on that, because when you can be a one-stop shop for your clients, regardless of where in the country they might have a project going on, and just say like, hey, I got this project in Seattle, but Kevin's my guy and I know he'll get me set up with the right people. I mean, that's huge. So it's been awesome to see how that works and comes together, and to see satisfied clients when it's all said and done.
Yeah, certainly. And I think too, like an important extension of that is not only do you know who you're going to in these markets, but for the most part, they're like number one or number two as far as commercial movers in that market. And again, clients wouldn't know this, but the difference between residential movers and commercial movers is significant. It's a completely different craft in a lot of ways, and to know that you're going into, especially in major markets, like the New Yorks, like the Miamis, like, the Californias or Austins, um, we have, qualified partners in those markets who, have been doing business there for a lot of times, 30 plus years, and specialize specifically in commercial moving. So you're getting the best of the best, and that seamless transition between markets regardless is so important. And then one of the other things too is, and I think this is, you do a lot of, is the logistics work, and that type of stuff. And we've been seeing these issues with supply chain since the start of the pandemic, and just it's a nightmare for a lot of companies who are doing that type of work. But through OMA and your specialized 3PL logistics work, it helps it a lot. Have you been doing a lot of that? Do you do a lot of like not first mile, last mile, but cargo shipments and stuff like that? Picking up from the cargo ships and shipping them throughout the country and stuff.
Yeah, we do, and that's particularly big in the Miami and Fort Lauderdale ports
Right.
because despite the logistics crisis that's been going on throughout the world, not that Florida's perfect at it, but they've been one of the more seamless operations in regards to getting ships in and out of the ports more quickly. It hasn't been perfect. There's been delays and stuff like there has everywhere else. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's been flawless, but yeah, there's definitely a big demand for that. And yeah, the 3PL work has kind of fallen into my lap because there's such a high demand for it here. So when 3PLs call me and they're like, hey, because as you know, most freight companies they'll physically drive the product to and from wherever. They'll pick it up and they'll deliver it to wherever, but they won't touch it, right?
Right.
They want someone to unload it. They want someone to place it internally. If it's on a pallet or needs to be installed, they need someone to break all that down, set it up, get the debris out. So that's where we come in when we aren't doing the long hauls ourselves. When a 3PL or a freight company needs us, that's where we're here to be kind of the boots on the ground for them locally, whether it's in Florida or in New York. I know I did a job with Advance up in Jersey City. So that's through one of my 3PL partners. And I was able to say, hey, I got a great team up there in Advance, and they can receive this at their warehouse. They can deliver it. They can do the internal placement. So the OMA model has been huge for that. Because again, these freight brokers and 3PL companies, they typically need their quotes like yesterday.
Right.
They're always on the fly and they always need it done like right away. So the peace of mind they have, like I said earlier, about regardless of where a project might be, it could be in Canada. I mean, I've been doing work in Canada with them as well, and we got our partners in Mackie up in Canada, as well as others. So the peace of mind for the client just to be able to call me and know that I'm going to get them taken care of and get them in the right hands it's been a privilege, but it's been really cool to see just how it's all come together.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you mentioned something really, really important too, as far as freight companies providing no touch delivery. That's huge, especially if you're working in conjunction, with a corporation or something like that, where they would have no idea that the person is just dropping it off on a pallet in their loading dock and they're expected to, bring it up to their office. That can cause a lot of stress and, just really chaos, not to exaggerate, but a lot of issues if you're not prepared for that. And that's why, people like ourselves become such valuable assets to these companies, because we can say, okay, listen, we're gonna coordinate getting that shipment to site, but then we're all going to make sure, we have 2, 4, 6, however many helpers on site there to make sure that we can bring it all up, remove, set it up, remove the debris. So it's a full service and not, putting them in a difficult position. So, that really helps. And then again, I mentioned it a couple times, but we're really in a very, very special and unique position, strictly because of our time spent in the industry, as well as, our age, even though, you've been in the industry 7 years. I've been in it nine. This is my ninth year, and it's all we've ever done. So it's all we know. And listen, I don't think either of us are going to sit here and pretend like we know it all. There's guys in this industry who have forgotten more than we know. But we started this young leaders group in OMA, and the fact that we have myself and you among a lot of other young people in the organization coming together and working together on these national accounts, I think it's really putting ourselves in a very unique and exciting position, to do a lot of great work together. I can't imagine anyone else is doing it like we are, wouldn't you say?
We put a lot into it, but shout out to yourself and Peggy Coakley and everybody else with the Young Leaders Group specifically that's, helped head that up. Yeah, this industry is not going anywhere.
Right.
And I think that's the exciting part is that I always joke around when talking about our industry and I say we're not selling Tupperware, right? Like it's not something that you might need or you might not need, or it's not a hard service to sell. Like you need it or you don't.
Right. If it
Um,
goes on a truck.
exactly. And everything comes in through freight. Everything needs to be moved at one point or another, whether it sits there for 100 years or not. Like it has to get there somehow, and eventually, in most cases, it's going to have to leave somehow, no matter what it is. So I think it's encouraging to look at just the demand for our industry and the never thought I'd be doing this. Like I totally stumbled into this career by accident, but I love it, and it's been it's been cool to see how my network's grown, and just the people that have been involved along the way. So it's been a good ride so far, man. But like I said, long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right, man. Though, even between, the network between ourselves, it's been great getting to know you. You're a good guy. We had fun in Clearwater a couple weeks ago. We're going to Scottsdale in a couple more weeks. So it's going to be great to continue to grow together. We'll finish up real quick, but I know you're originally a Massachusetts boy, and your
Yes.
boy Tom Brady retired this week, and he seemed to have a lot of good things to say about Tampa, but not too many things to say about New England. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I have no complaints, man. Like, who knows what'll happen? Who knows what was going on internally with him and Belichick and Mr. Kraft. But as a Patriots fan, I cannot complain one bit. I had 20 years of being spoiled rotten by them, so I can't complain, man. If I'm not gonna get nitpicky about how the guy retired when he took us to 9 Super Bowls in 20 years and won 6 of them. So yeah, no complaints there, but I'm sure he'll get it. He's a class act, man, so I'm sure he'll get it ironed out. But yeah, it's quite a time to be a fan. It was quite a run. So
Certainly was. Certainly was. And yeah, final question, who you got in the Super Bowl?
ooh, I'm going with Burrow, man. I like the underdog. I know it's in LA, and I know LA's looked like quite the powerhouse, and not undermining their capabilities, but man, like who would have guessed earlier this year that Cincy would be in the Super Bowl?
Right? Kid
Like,
doesn't lose either. All he does is win big games. He's unbelievable.
yeah. So like I'm pulling I like the underdog, man. I think it'll be a good game, but it would be cool to see Burrow pull it out. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Tell Will, Bill, and Chris I say hi, and looking forward to seeing you in Scottsdale and onward and upward, man. We'll definitely have you on again, and next time, we'll be talking about everything we've done so far. All right?
all right, buddy. Thanks again.
No, my pleasure. Thank you.
See you, bud.
Bye.